Oh wow, now what? That's gonna be the topic for our session today. The Psychedelic Actualization community is live. The link is in the video description. Also, my psychedelic masterclass is live. It's called Psychedelics Are Not a Magic Pill. The link is in the video description. Check it out. It's amazing. And sorry about the delay for this live stream. A friend of mine called me, and he's in Portugal at the moment, and it was a lovely conversation. We just had a 1 hour long conversation. He's just living in a cave there by the ocean by himself, like collecting a little bit of asparagus and herbs, and just having an absolutely inspiring lifestyle, I would say. Totally different. But if I wouldn't be sitting here doing this live stream, I would probably be with him in this cave or in a cave nearby, just enjoying life and nature. What else did I want to talk about? I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about pressure that I have noticed I put on myself, and this sense of hurrying, trying to achieve something. And also just around these next steps of like, what's up? What's up in life? What are the next steps? Like what is happening now? Hello, Snup Raider. Good to see you. But first, as always, let us sing a song. Jai Ganesha Deva, Jai Durga Ma, Om Ma Parvati Ananda Ma, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Mahadeva Shambho. Jai Ganesha Deva, Jai Durga Ma, Om Ma Parvati Ananda Ma, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Mahadeva Shambho. Om Namah Shivaya. I've been chanting that one for the whole day. I just got into the rhythm of Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Nama Om. Let's take a deep breath. In and out. Arriving here, in this moment where we have always been, and where we will always be. Sensations are a nice vessel to direct our attention to this very moment. Feeling the sensations of the breath in our nostrils or in our chest, feeling our back, feeling the chair or the ground that we are sitting on, feeling the ground under our feet. This is immediate. It's immediate experience. And somehow, even though we can't escape this moment, we seem to be able to get so far lost in thought and identify so much with the stories that we're telling ourselves that we ignore the fact that we're here now. Like, it's almost like overlooked. And so we're taking it so much for granted, like our life, that we then just get lost in our thoughts and in our stories about ourselves. And that is what I have been noticing for myself. I had a wonderful coaching session today. I was coached by a wonderful coach of mine. And I was like, I'm in this in-between phase. It was actually an observation from her. It was like, oh wow, like I have worked very hard on finishing up this masterclass and this presentation that I have published. I've been working very hard to now launching the community, the Psychedelic Actualization community, which is live, by the way, and which is going to be absolutely amazing. There's exclusive content in there, exclusive live trips. There's going to be weekly live calls where we can actually tap into a space together to spend some time to work through what is present for each and every one of us in this area of psychedelic integration together, where we can see how we can actually turn our insights, our psychedelic insights of these peak experiences into real, actionable, practical transformation in our day-to-day life and much more. But where was I? I lost my train of thought. Got too excited about the community. Yeah, community was launching, and now I'm in this space of like, okay, wow, okay, now there's a bit of space. It's like this. Now what? Now what do I do? Like, now there's a bit of space to decide where I want to redirect my focus and my attention next. Right? And that's very interesting. Because also for me in this inquiry of the coaching session, I noticed that for the next phase of my journey, I would like to approach that phase with a different mindset. Because for the past year, I noticed that there were certain beliefs and certain assumptions, certain, again, thoughts and stories that I'm telling myself that affect my way of doing things, that affect my way of being. And I invite you to inquire here with me of like, okay, what are some of your stories? What are some of your beliefs or some of your assumptions that are the foundation of your set in your day-to-day life, in your mindset with which you approach each and every action that you do, with which you approach your life? And these can be very different for each of us. You know, some of us may have thoughts that keep them very sluggish and oh, I can't get out of bed, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And then there's this like draining down, apathy, lethargic energy kind of thing. Other people can get very angry, can get into complaining and blaming and all this kind of like whole spiral. So like I invite you to see what's present for you. But I just became aware over the past few weeks and months more and more that what was running me, the mindset that is running me, is one where I put a lot of pressure onto myself. And I'm hurrying based on that pressure of telling myself that I have to do something in a certain amount of time, or that I have to achieve something in a certain specific period of time. It creates an expectation, and then to fulfill that expectation, I noticed that on a day-to-day basis I'm hurrying. Like, I gotta do more, you know, I gotta do more of this, I gotta create more, I gotta work faster, work harder, work more efficiently, grind more, because I haven't achieved my goal yet, right? And this pressure then, right, with this hurrying, also led to an attachment of the outcome. So with this attachment of the outcome then, I was attached to what I actually achieved today. Like I'm tracking everything, and then, but there's a subtle sense of judging and a subtle sense of regret, which is an interesting one that came up for me. Usually I don't like that word, and it's a very hard word. It's a very loaded one, you know, it sounds very harsh to me. But I noticed that there is on a day-to-day basis, I notice it more and more that at the end of the day, when I haven't done what I set out to do, right, this like simple goal setting process, and I reflect on that, and I tell myself like, oh man, you could have done better, like you could have achieved more, or we're not done yet, or oh, this was too little, less effective, procrastinated a lot, whatever these thoughts are, then I'm like, oh, I feel bad about myself. I'm regretting, almost like not having done enough. And all of this is kind of like, it's a very interesting pattern that emerged for me. Especially over the last year, it has kind of like circled around and around and around more and more and more. Where I now am at the place of really being aware of this, like really bringing this mindset with which I approach life to the surface and look at it and say like, okay, is this serving me? How is it serving me? Because in a certain sense, for sure, it is serving me. Or at least I told myself the story, or like unconsciously there is a belief that this mindset is serving, you know? Because with such a mindset, obviously, there's gonna be a lot that gets done. There's a certain sense of pushing and a certain sense of energy which is actually moving the needle forward, which is actually driving, you know? It's like this pushing energy is actually a powerful driving force. So in a sense it is serving, right? There's some outcomes that have been achieved. But at the same time, I noticed that just for myself, and I was aware of that like primarily, but forgot it, is that this is not sustainable. This is what a couple months ago showed me my mushroom experience, where I collapsed basically towards the end of that experience physically. And I couldn't like really have the strength anymore to do anything, even days and weeks afterwards. And then I traveled to Madagascar as an integration of that, to drop more into the being, to slow down. And I see it in many people, actually. In many people in my surroundings, there's this tendency, this pressure of like, I need to achieve something fast. Like I need to do something. I need to align with societal or cultural expectations to secure my survival also. This underlying assumption that when I don't do that, then I'm not provided for. I'm not safe. Right? But what life has shown me is that I'm always safe. I'm always provided for. No matter how scary or close to bankruptcy, or like no matter in the situation I find myself in, I always find that I can trust life to provide magically, like the right person, the right opportunity, the right anything, the right circumstance. Sometimes money or food or opportunities or like anything is just literally just falling from the sky. So then what's the reason of the stress? Why stress about it so much? Where's that stress coming from? Where's that pressure coming from? Where's that sense that I gotta move faster, I gotta do more? Where's that coming from? Where's that sense of regret coming from? That I'm not doing enough, I'm not being enough, I'm not worthy enough. It all comes from ourself. It's just internally. Its root, its source is in us. We are doing it. We are creating this. And there's a certain sense of freedom that we have to actually create our perception, our perspective on life. And also kind of like the traits and the approaches which we want to cultivate and take on for our day-to-day life. And it's hard. It's hard. It seems to be so hard at times. To actually, for example, be patient. Or to actually kind of like detach from the outcome. To actually say like, I am gonna prioritize peace over passion. I read this book recently. Wait, where is it? Passion meaning like kind of like the worldly things, like desiring money or sex or whatever, lust. It's called From Passion to Peace. James Allen he's one of the foundational people in the personal development field, and he's writing these super short, like 20 pages short books, but which are very potent. He has another one. It's called As a Man Thinketh. Highly recommend. It's very like, yeah, to the point. And also going a bit into spiritual practice. Hey Kali, good to see you. So these are the things that I want to cultivate kind of going forward. Saying like, okay, I'm free to choose a different approach towards life, a different approach towards what I'm doing, an approach that is not causing me stress. And how does that look like, right? I mentioned a couple of things already. I'm like, okay, I notice there's an attachment to the outcome, to what I have done on a specific day, to how much money I earn, to how many this and that and this and that, you know? So how can I actually cultivate a detachment to the outcome? How can I actually slow down and cultivate some patience? How can I, instead of pressure, acting from pressure, act from passion or from excitement? Say like, not this and this and this and this is needed, and I need to achieve this, otherwise I don't feel good about myself, but to say like, wow, okay, what am I excited about right now? There's this protocol. I think it's from Bashar. He's a very interesting character. Can look him up. He's like a medium and is channeling some kind of like alien entity or whatever it is. And he has a couple rules, basically following up on that question of like letting this question guide your life on what am I most excited about right now. And he's saying, 1, act on your excitement, your passion, whatever is most exciting to you in the moment. Do this every moment you can. That's the foundation. And I like that. Because then when you actually do that, when you actually act on your passion and your excitement in the moment, in whatever moment you're in, then I found that from this place of excitement flows a certain sense of effortless action. There's less tension and more relaxation. And from this place of relaxation, there's an openness which allows things to move much more effortlessly and effectively as well. Then the second step, he said, is do this to the best of your ability. Take it as far as you can. Go until you cannot take it any further. So every moment, do this. The third step is act on your excitement with absolutely no insistence, assumption, or expectation on what the outcome should be. This is what I mentioned regarding the detachment, which is basically one of the core foundational principles of the Buddhism and all spiritual practice. So, acting on your excitement without any expectation of what the outcome shall be. Detached from the outcome. Step number 4, choose to remain in a positive state regardless of what happens. Bringing in this perspective of empowering us actually saying like we are in charge of our state. So we can choose to remain in a positive state regardless of what happens. If we make the money or not, if we get the relationship or not, if we whatever, right? Whatever happens, happens. We're going to stay in a positive state regardless. And then number 5, constantly investigate your belief systems. Release and replace the unpreferred beliefs, fear-based beliefs, and the beliefs not in alignment with who you prefer to be. Again, I like that phrasing. To say what I've been explaining in the last minutes. Okay, hey, actually we can investigate our belief systems. How do we notice that there is a fear-based belief system in place? We don't feel good. And when we don't feel good, or we notice a certain sense of stress and pressure and disalignment, probably there's going to be some fear-based belief in our system that is running our actions and our perception. And then the step is to look at that, to actually step into the space, look at yourself, look at your life, look at your beliefs, investigate them, acknowledge them, validate them even. Say like, okay, you have a reason for being here. Maybe, right? Maybe you even serve a purpose. But I choose to release and replace you with a love-based, trust-based belief that is in more resonance with who I prefer to be. Because I don't know about you, but I, for example, prefer to be not stressed, not worrying, not hurrying, not regretting, not pressuring myself. And it might be painful to release that. Also came up in a coaching session recently, where I was coaching somebody, and then we talked about basically making this identity shift and letting go of certain beliefs or perceptions about yourself, about who you are, and inviting in new beliefs and perceptions on who you are. Or even just letting go of them and dissolving into this empty space of spontaneous, natural playfulness of energy that is emerging. And the process, right? We came to this analogy to say like the process is one of purification. When you actually do that, when you actually do the work and you investigate your belief systems or the assumptions you hold about reality or about who you are, there might be a bit of like pain or like an uncomfortable feeling, a tightness in the chest, a little resistance coming up. To say like, like a little bit of like an holding on to that, or like, I don't want to let go of that. Why is that? Usually I would say that's the case because, at least that's what I feel is true for me, is because we have built an identity around that belief or that assumption. And if you then truly believe that that is who you are, and you're investigating, releasing, changing that, then you're releasing, investigating and changing a part of yourself, which is almost like a mini death. It's a form of purification. It's a death of yourself. You're letting go of a part of your identity, which is illusionary and fluid anyways, and you're inviting in a new one. So it's like this death and rebirth process. And that might be uncomfortable. The metaphor we had in this coaching session was that the light of this new found love-based belief or this new, truer, resonant perspective is burning away the darkness of the old one. And that fire, it hurts, it's uncomfortable, it's hot. And there might be some like struggle in this process of purification, in this emergence to a higher, more aligned version of yourself that is holding a more aligned and true and resonant and peaceful perspective on life. And so it's a process, and we can move with that process. On a day-to-day basis. And actually focus more on our being. Operate from a state of being instead of operating from a state of doing. To ground ourselves in this foundational center of who we truly are. Our true authentic self. In this set or mindset that is grounded in being. And then that allows us to be more present with life, to be more present with each and every experience and each and every action that we take as well. And it allows us to slow down. It's a wonderful art, and a difficult one I find as well for myself. It's the art of slowing down. To say like, wow, okay, no rush. But actually when I slow down consciously, I notice for myself I come into a place that is more centered, is a bit more aware. And from that place I can actually move faster, counterintuitively. When I slow down, I speed up. Because everything is a bit more clear. Everything is a bit more aligned, and I kind of like, I know what the next step is, and there's a full confidence and conviction in that next step, which I then approach from this foundation of being, instead of from the state of rushing and being in the head and pressuring myself. I want to talk about this title. I had some funny thoughts regarding this. I heard it, I think, recently in some kind of lecture or talk regarding psychedelic integration. I think it was from Paul Austin or something. And he said this phrase to say, basically in psychedelic integration, we go from, oh wow, to what now? From oh wow to what now? I think in this title I called it Now What? But what now is even more fitting. So in the psychedelic experience, Respergo, hey, good to see you here. So in the psychedelic experience, we are tapping into this, what we might call a peak experience. And we are in awe. We're like overwhelmed by beauty, by insight, by love, by ecstasy. Oh, right? But then we come out of that peak experience at times and we ground ourselves again. We find ourselves again in this body. And then after an experience, we might ask ourselves, like, okay, what now? Like, now what? Now what? What happens now? And that is our integration. And it's funny because it's like, it doesn't count just for the psychedelic experience, but it counts for almost like every peak experience, at least, that we have, where we have this reaction of, oh wow. Another example might be you're watching a movie. You're watching a fantastic movie, like one of the most powerful pieces of art you've ever watched. And you're like, oh wow. Oh wow, that's incredible. And then afterwards you're asking yourself, now what? What am I going to do now? After I've just received this incredible transmission from this masterpiece of a movie. That's where the integration begins. Integration is not just applicable to the psychedelic experience. Same goes even for having sex, right? You're in the moment, and then regarding closer coming to the peak, you're like, wow, oh wow. And then now what? You're moving into the integration, holding that love, holding that space. Many more examples. Now, nature is another wonderful example. You're standing right in front of that humongous waterfall. You're in tears of its beauty, of its significance, of its teaching. And you're in a state of awe. You're like, oh wow. But now what? Or now there's many more examples coming to me. You're dancing, you're doing some ecstatic dance. Oh wow, now what? And the now what is almost like, well, I wouldn't say more important, but equally as relevant and profound and significant and important as the oh wow. I think I said it in a short I was publishing today, that the trap of spirituality, like a common danger and trap in spirituality and in psychedelics practice especially, but also with all of these other peak experiences and moments of where we feel this sense of oh wow, we are attaching to that. We are attributing more meaning to the oh wow than to the now what. We almost want to stay in the oh wow and avoid the now what. And that subtle sense of attachment is judging this one experience as being a more valuable or better experience than another one. If you're not wondering, I'm just preparing my mapacho pipe. Haven't been smoking for a while, and I would like to take a few tokes. Thank you, Spirit of Tobacco. Great master plant. Great teacher. Guiding us into presence and truth. So when we are judging one experience, for example, the peak experience or the psychedelic experience, as being something that is superior or better than just the ordinary experience of washing our dishes, then we are basically creating an opportunity for suffering to come around. We're like, okay, I like this more than this, and because that is the case, I neglect and resist and reject that state of being and attach to this state of being. But the art of the now what? The art of the what now is to actually release that attachment to the oh wow, to the peak, to the magic and the wonder. And recognize, or almost like take that into each and every moment of your life. To cultivate this sense of appreciation for washing your dishes, for chopping wood and carrying water, for not feeling this intense state of ecstasy or bliss. And to recognize that actually the magic is not in that which is perceived, but the magic lies in that which is perceiving. What is that? Who is that? Who is aware of all this? Who is that which is aware right now watching this live stream? I find in my inquiry that every answer that my mind is coming up with, that is not it. No matter what I say, that is not it. That is what's so wonderful about it. Like, it's formless, it's free. It's not bound by anything. We can't grasp it, we can't define it. Well, Adamas, good to see you, is asking, do you think it is awareness, or awareness is just another one of its expressions like consciousness? Yeah, that's a good question. I go into a little bit more detail in this presentation that I published. It's the first link in the video description. I'm putting it into the chat as well. Towards the middle or the end, I'm going into this. I guess there's like layers to it, you know, to this sense of self. I'm looking something up where it was written down beautifully. But it was basically saying that the first step of identification is with this body, right? It's this sense of, I am this. Like, I am the person. I am this body. I am this mind. I am identified with my persona. It's like, I am this and I'm not that. Subject and object. And it's this person world. And then there's a deeper layer when we move into our practice, which is saying, I am. Not I am this, but I am. Presence, beingness. Just relaxed experiencing. Beyond the individual self. We are as that manifest self, which some people might even call a soul. And then we move further. When we move further into this, and I'm not even there yet in my own practice. Like, I'm even far from it. I don't want to pretend anything that I'm not. But it's this deeper sense which we glimpse at times in psychedelic space for sure. This sense of I. Like emptiness, beingness, timeless, self-experiencing. No object anymore. Like it's the unmanifest self. What we might call then awareness. So you're asking, is it just awareness? Or is awareness just another one of its expressions? When you say its expressions, what do you mean by it, right? So I would say that awareness is pretty close to the absolute. Like it's Godhead. It's like it's that almost like it's God. It's love. It's universal, divine consciousness, which is everything. But it might be, we could even say that it's an expression of that which is beyond the I, which is beyondness, foreverness, beyond experiencing, no subject, which some might call the one or the absolute or infinity. So awareness might be an expression of that, of infinity, of that which is beyond, that which is beyond experiencing, that which is beyond being, that which is beyond consciousness. Therefore consciousness is an expression of that. Yeah, I go into I'll make sure to watch it. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm going much deeper into this with like some quotes from Meister Eckhart and from Bodhidharma regarding certain different non-dual traditions. We're really going deep into this sense of the absolute. Yeah, I always see it as the veil entangled in layers, woven in some but knotted in others. Yeah. And all of them are welcome, you know. There's nothing wrong with them. But it circles back to what I touched on earlier, is like usually for many and for myself as well, on a day-to-day basis, there is this deep identification with the body, which is just like the most raw physical layer of identification. And then there's like a forgetting of that deeper awareness of that divine energy force that is transcending far beyond just this body. And that's causing us suffering. That's causing us struggle. It's mainly the identification with this body and this smaller sense of mind being written with the lowercase I, lowercase m. With this small I, we're identifying with this small I, or this small self. This is me. I am that. I'm this. I'm that. I'm this body. I am my job. I am my relationships. I am my belief systems. When we're so identified in this sense of the world, which I am most of the time, it's like, whew, so much struggle going on. We're so invested in this. We're, whew, like, it's exhausting. But when we take time to actually sit, we do some practice, and we do some self-inquiry and actually inquire into who am I? What is it that I am? We notice these like deeper layers of presence, beingness, awareness, consciousness emerging. We're taking a step back, we're zooming out. We recognize and realize in our own direct experience that I am not this, and I'm not that. They call it neti neti also. It's a meditation technique, or even a name for that which is beyond the Parabrahman, which neti neti means not this, not that. We're not this and not that, not this and not that. Anything that we come up with, we are not. We are beyond. And ultimately, we are that as well. No, we are that which is beyond and that which is in it. And it's one and the same. From the perspective of non-duality, there is no difference anymore. Yoel is saying, I asked a question because in an experience that I had, awareness was an anagram in the mind space, used by something else, almost like a machine, but it wasn't the only one. I'm curious, what was the other one then, if there was a different one? Because in my experience, everything is that awareness. There's only that awareness. Like, it's the substance of this life. It feels like it's the substance of awareness, or yeah, it's the substance of everything. It's consciousness. So if you say there was something beyond that awareness, which was using awareness like a machine, then who is aware of that? Like, what is it that is perceiving that in your experience? That observation, that perception would have to come from a place of awareness, right? So that there might have been just an awareness perceiving a machine or this thing that is then using awareness in the mind space. What people call ness, we're all making entanglement consciousness, like you said, beingness. Yeah, right. So that's the only thing that's beyond awareness. It's no awareness. It's nothing. And it goes by many names, right? It's nothingness. I don't even know if it's being. We might call it being. But we might also not call it being, because it's like there's no subject anymore. They might not even be experiencing anymore. But we are going to the source of all, right? The source of all of creation. And then the funny thing is, right? It's like then we're aware of that, we have that insight, and then now what? Like, what are we gonna do with it? that's the interesting question. Like, what is the consequence of that? There doesn't need to be one, but it's like, still, now what? Like, what are you gonna do with it? Joel is saying, machine is just a term for a translation. These things were putting all things on a veil. But what was me at the point was being told to make that I could make the veils by what my mind translated as a female. I'm not fully grasping what you're saying there. It's far out. You went far out in that experience. What kind of experience was it? And you know what's also interesting? Which I've noticed as well regarding these peak experiences and these oh wow experiences. It's that we are operating after that experience. We are operating from a state of memory. It makes us humans very unique that we have this ability to apparently remember something. So that experience that you're describing right here, like, it's a fabrication of your imagination, right? It's like it's constructed right now. Every memory is being constructed right now. It's being created right now. So in that sense, every psychedelic peak experience that we remember it's not real. It's like we're attached to a memory, and we are actually like contemplating and directing our focus away from direct experience into an imagination, into a memory. And that can be helpful for the integration of certain experiences, right? But nevertheless, we'll have to come back to this moment and recognize our direct experience. Investigate, see, feel what is here right now. Because usually when I drop into being more and being here more, the questions, they are dissolving slowly. Like every single question that is arising, it's just passing by. this thought is passing by, and this thought is passing by. Actually, a friend of mine was I was visiting recently. He's into Angelo De Lulo at the moment. It's this spiritual teacher. He's on YouTube and he has a book. It's called Awake or something. It's your turn now. And he was deepening his practice of recognizing thought. To say like, okay, you're sitting and then you're like, okay, that's a thought. Whatever's coming up, that's a thought. That's a thought. You're acknowledging that, but you're not going into it. You're not buying into the story. Joel is saying what people now call DMT. Yeah, to catch the memory. The translation is a construction. Exactly. That's what it was also showing me, that existence was just the translation. Right? Existence is the word of God. That's what the Bible is saying. Also, it was like, what was me, it was like an eye that could see through all the keyholes. And those keyholes were the perceptions of all of the points of consciousness. Interesting. It sounds like a very interesting and deep experience that you've had there with the DMT. And still I'm curious, now what? What are you gonna do now with that insight, with that experience, with that recognition, with that translation, with that construction? See, that's the interesting part I find regarding psychedelic integration, which is why I've created the Psychedelic Actualization community now, which is why I have called this channel Psychedelic Actualization. That we are actually actualizing these insights and these recognitions in our day-to-day life. And we're saying like, okay, what are we doing now? Like, what are we doing now with this? And usually I find that it's coming back again and again and again. It's always coming back to very simple things. Let me eat a potato. Exactly, like eating potatoes and being fully present with the experience of cooking them, preparing them, tasting them. Eating good food, implementing habits, moving away from ways of being and of behaviors and of what I mentioned in the beginning, mindsets that are not aligned anymore. Where I say like, I'm on my phone all the time. But the integration of that experience, that I am nothing and I am that which is beyond and I am everything at the same time, and reality is much more mysterious than we can ever imagine. It just brings me back to myself. To my true self. Which is saying, oh, okay, I'm here to appreciate and also actually live a good life as a human being. To appreciate and live fully in that translation, in that construction, in this sense of bodiness. With the remembrance, or like the recognition that I am not that. in that which is beyond, but at the same time, right? This is the paradox that I was exploring in this presentation. At the same time, we are also this. And right now, everything that is this. What is in my field of perception right now? That which is awareness itself. Joel is continuing that part 2, that what people call the secret or manifestation is just a part of what people are always doing, patterns entangling and branching out and fractals that make connections. Yeah, exactly. But it all comes back to your being. Your state of being, your resonance. You being in flow, in your highest excitement. In creation also, like we're creating, and this is exciting. Like we're here to just be and play and create and appreciate and love and savor each and every experience of our life. And with these recognitions and these deep realizations, I found is like, okay, first of all, I can cultivate that overflowing sense of love and joy and understanding within my own self. But then the next natural step is to radiate that out into the world and be kind and compassionate, feel for every other point of consciousness that is included in this whole oneness. And serve selflessly. Bring that light out into the world. Shine that light out into the world. In your service, in whatever you're doing. In conversations with your neighbor. It's funny, like I want to say something. Not because silence is bad or uncomfortable, but it might be boring for you, huh? Well, that's a thought, right? That's a thought. But I feel this pull right now and at this moment back into this beautiful, calm, peaceful, silent state. And it's like, oh, this recognition is like enough of the talking. And sometimes what I feel with these videos, these streams, is a bit more of this world of communication and language and talking and teaching. It's a very beautiful vessel, but it's like it feels so limited at times. So I invite you just to follow me into this sense of being right now. Not of talking so much, not of being lost in concepts and constructions of language. Just put them aside for now. What's left? What is left? Oh, there's another thought. Acknowledge. You can even validate the thought. And then you let it go. You let it pass. You put it aside for now. What is left? Really, really pay attention here. Pay attention. If you recognize the thought, you acknowledge it, and you let it go. What is it that is left? With each breath, we can tap deeper into that space that is left. And really let go of all the tension in the body. You might notice a thought, oh, there's a little bit of back pain that is left. That's the thought. You can let it pass. Put it aside for now. There might be another thought coming up. What am I doing here? Why am I watching this? That's another thought. You can put it aside for now. You can let it go. And as we do that, we notice ourselves just being drawn into this silent space. There is an aliveness, an attentiveness, almost like a release of all expectation, a release of all attachment, a release of all judgment. How do you feel now? What do you feel? Whatever you're coming up with, it's another thought. Okay, not to abrupt you too directly, but if you feel ready, you can open your eyes again. If you closed them, you can come back into the space. Basically, just talking to myself, as I was a bit drawn into that. And that's the thing that I noticed as well regarding psychedelic integration and regarding this, okay, oh wow, I have the peak experience, but what now? I noticed that for myself, like when I looked at my day, when I look at every single moment to moment experience of my life, there's so little time spent actually doing this genuine inner sincere investigation into the nature of reality, into my identification with the body or with thoughts, into actually doing some relaxation practices, some contemplation, longer periods of sitting, nature immersion. I don't know, koan practice, stretching, yoga, whatever you're into, right? But this deep recognition and remembrance of that which is beyond, of that which we have connected to in the psychedelic experience. And then instead of operating from a place of memory and imagination and constructing this memory and holding on to that memory of the psychedelic experience, which is long gone, which is not here anymore, we actually tap into that space. We tap into that magic. We tap into that connection to I don't know, not towards any goal, but just because. And then we recognize and we can appreciate our life as realization, as the embodiment of that. I'm going to catch up with some chat, and then we're going to also slowly but surely come towards the end of that live stream today. So Joel was going on and was saying, yeah, the flow, or what is called the glow or bliss, that what it's called, the universe is handing it to you to see how you shape it as you are a conduit of it. Exactly. That's the famous recognition of Satchitananda, right? Like truth, consciousness, or existence, or truth is consciousness, and that is bliss. Respergu saying, I heard that ayahuasca is like a karma accelerator. That's an interesting thought, yeah. It's also, again, highly relevant, and I covered that in this presentation that I did recently. It's called Psychedelics Are Not a Magic Pill. I posted the link in the chat. You should watch it right after you watch this live stream, or tomorrow when you've got some time on your hands. where I go into this theory where there is some psychedelic practitioners who hold the perspective that psychedelics are like an acceleration of the death rebirth process, is what they call it. So it's like an acceleration of purification, and another word for that might be an acceleration for working through karma, which is a very interesting notion. I haven't come to any conclusions regarding this for myself personally, but it definitely feels like that. And still there is the balance of how much of that acceleration of karma can we actually embody, can we actually integrate with this vessel of our life, our human life that we find ourselves in. Joel was going on to say, is that because the language of man can sometimes be a filter that blocks them from the actual language of existence? That's an interesting way to frame it. Are the thoughts really in words, or are the words just dust in the wind covering something else? Wow, yeah, I don't know. What are thoughts and what is language? I'm gonna create I'm actually in the process of creating a presentation around language, because I was asking myself the question. Asking yourself questions is very powerful. It takes you to the root of everything. I was asking myself the question, what are psychedelics? And that question took me to the roots of language, because psychedelic is just a word, you know. And then I got into the inquiry, okay, what is a word? What is language? What does that even mean? What do we make it mean? And all these interesting perspectives came up. For example, that Terence McKenna said that the world is made of language. It's an interesting idea to contemplate. Language or words might go deeper than just the objects or the physical things that we point to when we use words. Because if there would be no words, then is there a sense of self? Is there a sense of thought? What is it, you know? And then what is that which is beyond? So it's an interesting one. And then when you say actual language of existence, it's like, what is even the actual language of existence? Where's it goes different again into this question of what is language itself. And then, can there even be such a distinction as a filter or not a real language and a real language? Like, what is that distinction all about? It's a very deep question. Yes, Kali, we're still gonna sing a song. We did sing a song at the beginning of this live stream, like we always do, and we're gonna sing another one for the ending of this live stream now. So if you still have any questions, if you want to talk about anything, if you're curious about anything, let me know and I'll try to answer. But otherwise, I feel really, not really tired, but I feel really drawn inwards today and really not ready to talk. That's why we went into this little spontaneous meditation. It was funny because actually before the live stream I was going for a longer walk, and then I felt very inspired to share, and then I had a 1 hour call with my friend who was living in Portugal at the beach, and then I kind of like, I talked so much with him that now I'm like language talking. Yeah, that part of that magic is the ability to make goals and purpose. The part of that magic is the ability to make goals and purpose. Yeah, it's also self-constructed. You know, it's nice to be aware of that. Well, language is magic as well. And goals and purpose are self-constructed, and they can give a self-constructed sense of meaning. But I also like to come back and not forget, hold both simultaneously, right? The foundation that we're here to just live. This is it, you know, we're here, we can appreciate this life, we can take care of our life. And then furthermore, we are free to just create anything we want to create. We're free to do anything we want to do. And if that is make more goals and create a sense of purpose for ourselves, then that is the case. And I like that. I like that. I like that very much. I think we were... Oh, I like this one. We're gonna sing a little song. It's a bhajan for Amitabha, the Buddha of infinite light, and the three jewels, Buddha. The Buddha nature in every being, the Dharma, which is the wisdom and the teaching, and the Sangha, which is what we're doing basically here in the live stream. It's the community, and also which we're doing in the Psychedelic Actualization community, where we actually come together. Link is in the video description if you want to talk to me, if you're a good fit for this. Let's have a chat regarding this. If you want to join this community, it's live now, it's launching, and we're meeting up every single week for actual Sangha, for the community, for coming together. I'll talk a bit more about this after I sing this song. Song is the following. It goes Om Namo Amitabhaya Buddhaya Dhammaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya Buddhaya Dhammaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya Buddhaya Dhammaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya Buddhaya Dhammaya Sanghaya. Om Namo Amitabhaya. Yes, the Buddha in every atom. That is it. That is it. Right? I read it today. I'm reading this book at the moment. It's called Appreciate Your Life. I like the Zen teachings. They're very direct. Last phrase I was reading today, he said, when you truly appreciate that all the dharmas are Buddha Dharma and all dharmas are without self, your life will unfold naturally and you will know what to do. Really, really talking to that sense that Buddha is in every atom. And how do we come to that embodiment and that realization? Dogen Zenji is saying we are forgetting the self, right? We are forgetting the self. In the Genjo Koan, Dogen Zenji is saying that all dharmas are Buddha Dharma. All dharmas are without self. Buddha Dharma goes beyond with and without self. Right? He says to study the Buddha way is to study oneself. To study oneself is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be enlightened by the 10,000 dharmas. To be confirmed by 10,000 dharmas is to free one's own body and mind as well as that of others. Selflessness is such a crucial aspect of all of this. I recognize it over and over again. Right? It appears in every single book and teaching and quote and experience that it's really the practice is to forget the self. Hey DMD Infinity, I'm sorry that you were not notified. I see that more and more. People are not even like getting YouTube notifications for the live streams or even for new videos that I publish. Sometimes like video, they don't even appear in people's subscription box. It's very sad. But I'm happy that you're here. The self that people put on is the selfish, not the true self. That is a connection through all things. Like blue is not true blue. Now you're making me hungry. Yeah, make yourself some good food. I'm back with the potatoes and zucchini. I want noodles. Yeah, YouTube doesn't like this topic. It seems that way. And actually, to talk a bit more about, I wanted to talk about this actually, and I forgot. To go a bit deeper into this, like, okay, like what's up for the channel now? I have a backlog of videos that I still want to publish. There's like some from Madagascar and some like other crazy nice ones that I shot. But, and I want to check in with you how that resonates for you. I would really like to focus this channel here, Psychedelic Actualization, really around psychedelic integration. So really building like a library of content and of information that is really, really, really helpful to integrate your psychedelic experiences. Really, 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 really like binge watch worthy, and really cover every single facet, every single topic of psychedelic integration, and really go into the depth of how we can actually transform our psychedelic insights into lasting change. So this is kind of like what's coming up. There's going to be shorts and live streams and longer presentations as well as short form content, but really kind of like cutting out a little bit the non-psychedelic content. And I'll have to stop the live streams, not the live streams, but the live trips actually, which is very sad. But that's why we have the Psychedelic Actualization school community now. There's going to be all new live trips are going to be in that community platform. They're on a hidden secret different channel. And for now, there's like a beautiful, beautiful DMT life experience where I describe what was happening, and one of my deepest mushroom experiences. Well, one of the most raw and deepest mushroom life trips, and my first Amanita muscaria fly agaric mushroom experience as well. All these life trips are gonna be in that community platform. Link is in the video description, or I can also put that link into the chat, which is this one if you want to join the community directly. But also I would appreciate if you could book a call, which is the other link, with me, so we can actually talk about how that community platform and the life group coaching and authentic relating workshops and all that kind of like everything that's planned, how that is aligning with you and your path and your goals and your struggles and challenges, and if you're actually a good fit for that community platform. Book a call with me and we can jump on a call and actually talk about your life, what's going on, your vision, and how we can turn your psychedelic insights and experiences into lasting change and into real practical day-to-day action steps and transformation, right? So that's starting. I'm so excited for this, and so still be on the lookout for new content. All the new experiences and new videos are going to be absolutely amazing. Lots of love is flowing into them, and as I said, bigger projects are coming. Great longer presentations are coming. I'll just follow my excitement and really deepen my own experiences. There's a couple psychedelic experiences that are coming up for me as well. I haven't really journeyed that much in the last few days, weeks, even month. But I feel the call again to go into some deeper experiences and to also go into some lower dose experiences and then really accumulate and embody and feel into this journey of psychedelic integration for myself again as well, and study obviously more into the field. Maybe in April there's going to be Breaking Convention coming up. It's an amazing psychedelic conference in the UK, which I'm probably going to be at. So if you want to meet me there. And when Europe is reachable, or at least UK is reachable. Yeah. Otherwise, what else? Yeah. Then I was thinking about like I could also cut out the psychedelic content, but that doesn't feel truly aligned or authentic, and just go into sharing my thoughts about life and spiritual practice and self-actualization. But it doesn't feel like I really want to do that. So I might open up a second channel. You'll hopefully be notified about that in the videos and in the live streams and in, I don't know, the community posts that I can sometimes post. Are you guys actually seeing those? Are those getting recommended to you? These community posts that I'm posting sometimes? There's some beautiful quotes and insights at times. And also, yeah, exactly. I might create a second channel just for these pure non-psychedelic videos, because I noticed this on this channel as well. They break through and they get into the algorithm, and it's like it's ridiculous actually that some of these videos are just getting so much traction, and YouTube is really pushing out the non-psychedelic content. It's like it's so obvious. It's almost like they would like to push me from psychedelic content into non-psychedelic content, and it's a bit like, oh, I don't know. But I feel like the true calling for this channel is still psychedelic related, and I would like to keep it that way, and even focus more and go deeper into deeper depth of the psychedelic path and the psychedelic integration, psychedelic preparation, and really build a foundational resource for everybody who is interested in that topic of psychedelic integration. I really haven't really seen that many channels revolving around or talking about psychedelic integration too much. There's a couple podcasts, psychedelic podcasts are popping up here and there, like Wild Flowers and Herbs, but really kind of like going in depth into psychedelic integration in YouTube videos. Like, let me know if there's some channels that that go really deep into this topic, but definitely I feel like it's very relevant, and it's coming as well. Psychedelic facilitation is a big field as well, but psychedelic integration is just like, it's this newborn concept and baby that is just, I feel like slowly gonna get more traction and become more popular as psychedelics get more popular as well. DMT Infinity is saying you and TripWhip should collaborate. Yes, I'm actually thinking about. That's also one of my next steps. I'm going to appear on a lot of podcasts in the psychedelic community and just collaborate a little bit more. Maybe get some people onto this channel as well. And we're going to be, TripWhip probably is going to be there as well. But yeah, just create some collaboration in the psychedelic space. The psychedelic community is very connected. It's very small. It's all very kind people. And I have some great ideas to actually implement also insights and maybe clips from other people's content into like co-creation pieces that are going to be happening here on this channel and maybe on their channel. So beautiful. The recent one of you in that forest is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. The forest ones always look very nice, right? I like being in the forest. For now, it's a bit cold outside here, winter times in Europe, but I'm gonna go out soon as well more. Yes and no, but I'm on my subscription tab at least once every day or two. Okay, all interesting. Joel is saying on the journey, one is always going. The clothes might change, even the atoms, but the pattern of you flows on. Beautiful. Okay, beautiful, everybody. I loved this live stream again, even though it felt like it was a bit like, whew, aha, interesting one, right? It was an interesting one. It's always a journey. There's never really much preparation in these live streams. It's just like this deeply present sharing of what's happening in my current experience of life, what has been happening in the last few moments, hours, days, and what is going on regarding the plans of this channel, and then also the connection and communication with all of you guys. It's wonderful. I deeply appreciate you being here, and you guys seem to enjoy the live streams as well, right? It feels very connected, like we're very connected through these live streams, and I really enjoy them. You seem to enjoy them. Sometimes they're getting even more views than my actual videos. It's funny, and I guess there's something to it because it's like it's closer, it's live, it's more connected, it's alive as well. It's interactive, it's playful, it's wonderful. It's actually wonderful. So again, if you want to take it a step deeper and you would like to just not communicate through the chat, but actually join a room, join a Zoom room. Maybe even we're going to organize some retreats and live events in the future, and get more involved with myself and with other like-minded people in this field of actually doing this work together, practicing together, coming more into a more aligned version of ourselves, setting up goals and purpose and following through with action steps, building up the habits and living out our authentic self in this culture and in this society that might put some expectations onto us. And we're looking through these deeply limiting beliefs and these stories and thoughts that we're telling ourselves. You're welcome in the Psychedelic Actualization community. It's officially live now. It's accessible. It's beautiful. I'm looking for a couple founding members, so people who I can really trust and who are really passionate about participating. If that's you, click the link in the video description. Either book a call with me or join directly, and we'll get that thing going. And it's beautiful. I'll see you inside there. And yeah, beautiful. I wanted to end it now, but Joel is asking another question. I want to answer it. So, what type of pattern integrations do you plan on resonating with? Understanding and installing with people, what people call downloads? What for the dealing with the perception change of awareness and things like synchronicity and vibrational feedback? All of it. All of it. It's a deep topic. It's a deep topic, the integrations and the plan of that integration. Oh, what is happening? Am I still here? I think my internet might fall out. Yeah. Yeah, everything from synchronicities to building habits to making these actual realizations practical, and also to go deeper into insight, into understanding, into self-realization. But especially I would like to focus on, utilizing psychedelic experiences for our self-actualization and self-realization. That's what I understand about psychedelic actualization, right? This is what it's about. So good. Thank you, everybody. Much love. I love you all, and check the link in the video description, the first one, the one I posted right now in the chat. It's the full masterclass about psychedelics and the nuances and the paradox of psychedelic practice, especially also in relation to spiritual realization. Enjoy that one next, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful